Do you want to be liked? Every single one of us wants to be liked. We are social beings, and that is the reason why we naturally care deeply about having other people like us. But now I am asking you this highly provocative question. What price are you truly willing to pay for that? If we try to be liked by everyone, we will end up paying a pretty damn high price. Because that is when we cut ourselves down at every single corner. I would really like to share a quick example. Just a few days ago, I had a visit from a gentleman whom I do not know particularly well, but who happens to run a guest house here in the area, and we share a few mutual friends. He came by, and before any polite small talk like, "Hello, how are you?" he sits down and says, "Well, people are telling some pretty wild stories about you, or people are talking about you." And purely out of instinct, I go, "Really, what? Tell me." And he starts beating around the bush like, "Yeah, well, people are talking, and what you're doing, I don't even really know what it is you're doing." And while he's beating around the bush like that, I realize I don't actually care at all. And I'm sure as hell not going to beg him to tell me right now. And I noticed that I then changed the subject, just talking about trivial things like 5 minutes of small talk. It was clear it's a short visit. And then looking back on it, I thought about how much that, if I think back now, 8 to 10 years from today, how much that would have bothered me back then. But back then, I would have done anything, would have begged him to tell me what people were saying about me. And now I'm like, I really do not care at all what other people say about me, because what I do is exactly what I do, no matter what people are saying. But I have spent so many long decades of my life constantly worrying and stressing so much what other people might actually be gossiping about. Not doing things that other people might have disapproved of, not because those things were bad, but because I was afraid they would say, "Now she has gone completely crazy or has delusions of grandeur." I mean, look, what I'm doing here, YouTube and online coaching, in a village like this, of course, isn't something every second person does. Of course, I'm an outlier and many don't even know what I do, and others, or working as a medium back then, yeah, that was even more out there. And many people don't even know, and others just don't get it. They don't really know the background. And it doesn't really matter. They don't have to know, and they don't even have to deal with it. But I held myself back for many long years of my life, not even that often. I mean, mostly not even consciously, but because my own inner censor immediately kicked in and thought to itself, "No, you can't do that, and this person or that person will find out about it." And very often I had very specific people in mind where I was afraid that they would talk bad about me. And the funny thing about it is, it was always people that I don't even like, that I just don't like. And yet I held back on doing things, just out of fear of what they might say about me, bad things. And I mean, that's really nonsense, but we've all been socialized that way. And taking that step out of this socialization is a really important step. In one part of our brain, it's still hardwired. It means danger if we get kicked out of the pack. And as a neurodivergent person, you've always, or at least I have, and maybe you too, experienced time and again being signaled that, well, you don't really belong to the pack. You were the black sheep in the flock of white sheep, or in the group of ducks. You were the swan, depending on how you want to look at it. maybe you were more radiant than the others, or maybe you just weren't as resilient as everyone else. There are indeed many reasons why you might feel like you don't belong as a neurodivergent person. About 8 to 10 years ago, I can't even say exactly when that point was. It was this gradual process where I decided I don't really care what people say. And that was certainly not always easy. I want to inspire you to really think about how often you pull your own handbrake on the inside just because some sensor in your head says, oh no, I can't do that. Perhaps people won't like it, or where you just realize that you are trying to go through your life as inconspicuously as possible, even though you stand out anyway, like a sore thumb. It is indeed very often the case that it is just like people who are very, very tall, who always tend to walk around with their shoulders hunched up quite a bit. That's how neurodivergent people walk, and you can still see they're huge. It doesn't help at all. You see they're huge with shrugged shoulders. Neurodivergents often go through life like this, like, I'm actually pretty well adjusted. And that is just complete and total bullshit. Because we're going to stand out anyway, and in reality, it doesn't really matter at all what other people think. What matters is that you live your very best life, and live a life where, in the end, you can say, maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was a cool life. And you don't have to think at the end of your days, oh God, look at all the things I didn't do just because of fear.